So I have owned and used the Apple Vision Pro since its early February launch day this year for the past like 8 months, which is just crazy. There has just been so much going on this year, so many new devices, software features, Apple Intelligence, all that good stuff. So, you know, I can't promise you that I think about this or use it every day at this point. It's not at the, point where it's sort of replacing my smartphone or tablet or Mac or whatever, but it definitely adds to my Apple ecosystem experience. I cannot recommend it for everybody. It's still very expensive and it's still very like, first gen iPhone. Like I feel like one of the people who bought an iPhone back then, I'm just enjoying the experience that is like, nothing else on the market right now. And that's very much the case with Vision OS. It is very much iPhone OS 1. It didn't need the craziest chassis or camera. There were better cameras. Phones had 3G at the time. This had 2G, but they were super focused on making the experience like none other. And that is exactly what we get with the Vision Pro here. So I can pull it off the little pedestal I bought for it. I'll leave a link to this and this little, cabinet here and that lamp and whatever else if you're interested. So yeah, I can just put my glasses here and pop this on, and I gotta get the screen recording going, so bear with me here. All of this to say, Vision OS is an experience like none other, even though it's in this sort of clunky, very expensive form factor that has terrible battery life. That's why I have it plugged in. Anyway, in this video, I wanna go over Vision OS 2 features and why they make this an even more worthwhile and exciting platform. Maybe not for most of you, but if you're an enthusiast and you wanna pick one of these up used, from some disillusioned person who bought one of these expecting it to be like the best thing since sliced bread, which I think it is, but many people were sort of underwhelmed because it doesn't do everything they thought it was going to, but now it does more. So yeah, if you're interested, these features actually make a huge difference. Starting firstly with the new navigation gestures. Before you had to like look up at a dot, that dot's right there because I'm screen recording, but you'd have to look up and click and it was just a whole thing. Now all you have to do is just sort of do this like sort of single ladies motion here, sort of have your fingers in this V shape before you, and a little home button will pop up. So you just flick it out like that, and then you click, and then your home screen shows up here. So I can go, or make that exit, I can go back to it. It's very responsive, very quick. And that brings me to the second aspect of the navigational gestures here. That's the new control center like pill, which tracks with your hand, same with the home button here. You just twist your hand the other way, so, single ladies. Someone told me that and I think it's so funny. You can click this and then you have access to your control center panel, with all your other functions for sharing and, like connectivity, all that. But anyway, yeah, so this makes a huge difference. It makes so much sense. It feels very natural. Just like the rest of the interface, I don't think they had this down. I mean, they had like, resizing windows and sort of moving them around, right? But yeah, the home button thing, I mean, you can still click the digital crown, that's still the same, but before it was just clunky and confusing. And as I was giving people demos of, this device, they didn't understand it. So that was like honestly the hardest thing to explain. So they probably were like, yeah, this isn't a very human interaction. So they figured it out for the home button and the control center toggle. So well done there. But anyway, next up is a feature that I think is even more exciting, and that is the ability to convert any photo you have into a spatial photo, whether you took it yesterday with your newest iPhone, 10 years ago with the point and shoot, or if you downloaded it off the web. So I can pick a photo here. How about this one of my cat on iPhone launch day? He loves the pull tabs. I can click this new spatial convert button and it will scan the photo up and down and just sort of extrude stuff. And it just adds depth to the image that you could never experience looking at it on an iPad, a Mac, a TV even. So here's before, here's after here. I can also go into full screen. And yeah, like they properly separate like the foreground, background. It's not perfect, but it looks so good. And I can say that because I can view spatial content that I took with my iPhone 16 and 16 Pro Max here, which does look really, really great. So here's a picture of my hand, nothing crazy. So like clearly this is a better photo because it's literally from the start captured spatially, but it's pretty close to what you can get with, a converted photo. Here's another one I'm gonna do in a diner that I was at, like a Coney Island. Shout out to Leo's Coney Island. Y'all make great food. It's a Michigan thing if you don't know what I'm talking about. So here is, you know, me in a booth with my MacBook. Again, it isn't perfect. Like there's some weird like outlining going on here, but I'm sure in the future this will get better. But I mean, like, it feels like I'm here. It feels like I can just reach out and touch my laptop, and honestly feels like I'm a tiny person standing on the table. But you get depth. You can just, again, like, it's crazy how this was a 2D photo, stuff was extruded, and you just get this three-dimensionality or whatever to it. So I absolutely love this. And like I said earlier, you can convert any photo you have that's digital, of course. So this is one taken almost 14 years ago by my mom with the Canon PowerShot something or another. It's me in the Apple store with an 11-inch MacBook Air running Snow Leopard. Crazy how much time has gone by. So I can convert that, or I already did, and I can view it. And this is wild. Like, there's no possible way I could have seen this. This is a picture of me when I was 11 or 10 years old. So I can relive a past moment that I could have never seen in this perspective, which is just wonderful. So that's great. Okay, here's our final example. This is a picture I took in a high-res restaurant in New York on a trip that I went with my friends earlier this year. It's super high-res. It looks great. Everybody looks like real, like three-dimensional. It feels like I'm standing looking downward at this table. It feels like I could like throw a paper airplane at them. That's how close they are. That's how sort of three-dimensional they are. So again, it takes pre-existing photos and makes them very convincingly spatial. So, you know, if you want to relive memories, if you want to experience your photo gallery in a completely different way, I take a ton of photos, so this is very special to me. This makes Vision Pro and future iterations of it just so much more compelling of a product to invest into. But anyway, before we continue with the video here, you may notice this extra piece attached to my Vision Pro. Well, it's actually a product from my friends over at Anapro, who were kind enough to make today's video possible and send this sick accessory over to check out and share with you guys. This is their pressure reducing comfort head strap version 2 or A2, and let me tell you, it lives up to its name. I have a fairly big old noggin or head, so I was a bit concerned about this accessory working for me, but it fits perfectly, especially when you choose the right size of the interchangeable cushions they include, which conveniently attach via Velcro. Once installed and worn, the A2 head strap effectively reduces 60 to 90% of the pressure placed on your cheekbones and around your eyes when wearing Vision Pro. This can enable you to wear it and use it for even longer comfortably, which is like the whole point of having one of these in the first place. Installing it on your Vision Pro is super quick and easy as well, and requires no weird DIYing or physically altering your headset, thank God. All you have to do is remove the band of choice, slide the Anapro head strap over the spatial audio pods, and presto, you're ready to immediately improve your Vision OS experience. The A2 is also super durable as well, crafted into a single piece that can withstand 10,000 bends without breaking. With this accessory, you can also use your Vision Pro without the light seal, which can bring the device's displays and lenses closer to your eyes. This increases your field of view and offers an experience that arguably feels more immersed into your physical space. All in all though, if you own a Vision Pro or are thinking about picking one up new or used, this is 1000% an accessory you need to consider, as it will without a doubt improve your comfort and stamina when using it. And considering how much this thing costs, who wouldn't want to squeeze the most amount of value and usage out of it? I'll leave a link in the video description down below if you're interested in checking this A2 head strap out. Next up though, we have a feature that isn't as exciting, but it's honestly very welcome and kind of funny because it was missing from the iPhone 1st Gen 2 with iPhone OS 1. We can now move apps around on the home screen, ladies and gentlemen. But honestly, I can see why they delayed the feature, because the animation with it is just so fluid and cool. So I have my home screen sort of laid out exactly the way I want, not in the sort of default way, sort of somewhat, but you know, I have DJ on the first page, Juno, which just got discontinued, super sad. Great, you know, YouTube client here, but yeah, I have Max on the first page. I have, you know, sort of different categorized pages here. I wonder if we'll get folders eventually. Who knows? Maybe in a future version we're going to have a very, you know, nuanced, you know, more organized way to, you know, sort of go through your apps. But for now, at the very least, you can sort of organize your apps into pages that make more sense to you. So I have my main apps. I have, I guess, you know, sort of shopping and, you know, media entertainment apps, and then games, and then miscellaneous stuff here. So yeah, I really enjoy the animation, and I really wasn't put off by the fact that this wasn't in version 1, but it's definitely a nice feature to have. And again, it's just funny because the original iPhone had the same problem. They probably just didn't figure out the iconic app shaking sort of jelly effect or whatever. So again, I'm gonna keep saying it, the parallels that can be drawn between this thing and the Vision Pro are just really interesting to observe, because now I'm actually old enough to be like an Apple first adopter, user, which is super fun and special. But anyway, next on our features list here, we have some improvements regarding input, specifically the Magic Keyboard and wireless mice in general. First up, visionOS now supports wireless mouse support, any wireless mouse that you want, which is nice. So I have an MX Master 3 and I can use it to open the music app here. And it operates a lot like you would imagine with like an iPad, which is nice. So yeah, and that just recently got, cursor support too with the Magic Keyboard and whatnot, iPadOS 14, I believe. So it's nice to be able to do this. I mean, obviously the visionOS interface is made for use with your eyes and hands and fingers, but I imagine if there's going to be a UI or an app that has, finer tuned print or buttons or whatever, a mouse is going to be nice too, along with the Magic Trackpad, which I think was the only sort of mouse-like device you could use before in visionOS 1. As for the Magic Keyboard, though, on top of having this nifty preview that floats around with it, this is the only keyboard that does this, by the way. You'll still get the preview, but it won't follow your keyboard if it's third party. Now when you go into a virtual environment like Mount Hood, for example, you'll still be able to see the keyboard so you can see what you're typing, which is great. This also works for Magic Keyboards with MacBook Airs and Pros, so if you're using your MacBook Air Pro, with the virtual display feature, you'll still be able to see what you're doing, which is phenomenal. So, this is great if you want to use, again, your Vision Pro with a keyboard to type stuff in, to answer emails or write stuff, or if you're using the virtual Mac display mode here. And yeah, it's sort of a gotcha proprietary thing, but I imagine if you're picking one of these up, you're already, so, enmeshed with Apple buying an additional Magic Keyboard. It's not going to be a big deal. And if you already have a MacBook Air or Pro and you want to use this feature, with the virtual display mode, it's a great quality of life improvement. But beyond enhanced keyboard and mouse support with visionOS 2, next up, I want to talk about watching videos in Safari, specifically YouTube videos. And as you may know, YouTube does not plan on making a native Vision Pro app, which is sad and petty, but Apple decided to maybe subtly one-up them or strike back and introduce a really great view for watching content, again, with their native browser, Safari. So here we have the Brat interview on Apple Music. Great video if you like Charli XCX and her more recent music. So I can go full screen here, and you get your more typical view. You can dim the room, whatever. But now we have a new button here, as you can see next to the full screen or, escape button. You can click this mountain button, and it will bring you to Mount Hood and sort of give you this sort of like theater-esque experience. I'd show you dark mode, but it's just not going to show up in screen recording well. But this is just amazing for regular content like this, or more regular content, or movies. And I'm going to play a YouTube video movie clip because I couldn't do this with a actual copyrighted app. So here is one of my favorite films, Tron Legacy here. This would look so much better in a dark Mount Hood environment, but as you can see here, I can watch a movie or any cinematic clip on YouTube, free of charge, best of all, on this nice big screen here. And yeah, it's beautiful. You get the water here. The reflections look absolutely incredible. I'd have the sound on to listen to the amazing Daft Punk soundtrack, but copyright. But anyway, this is just an amazing feature, especially for watching your more typical content on YouTube. Maybe I can find something even more, run-of-the-mill or everyday here, like a tech video, maybe one of my videos. Yeah, it's great to be able to just watch any kind of content you want with this gorgeous view with Mount Hood, especially in the dark, which I would love to, again, show you, but it's gonna just appear pitch black. So yeah, great feature, sort of Apple's maybe little subtle revenge to YouTube for not giving them a native app to run on here, which is a real shame. Hopefully in the future, YouTube decides to actually contribute to this amazing platform. Another feature that I want to go over is using your Vision Pro as an AirPlay receiver. So just like an Apple TV and now more recently a Mac and possibly an iPad, I'll correct myself if I'm wrong, you can AirPlay your iPhone's display or iPad's display into visionOS, which is just super cool, and it honestly makes a lot of sense. Unfortunately, you can't control the interface yet, but you can certainly project it into your environment, super high res and bright, there's no loss in quality, obviously. It's very responsive too, and you can just like, you know, like scroll through vertical content and enjoy yourself. So I can scroll through my Instagram. You know, I don't want to go through my own For You pages on TikTok and Reels and whatever, because there's just weird stuff that pops up, like out of pocket funny stuff that is just not YouTube appropriate. But anyway, yeah, like I can just sit back here, lay on my bed or whatever, and just sort of scroll through really comfortably without squinting and staring at my phone. So I'm definitely going to be making use of this for a really lazy day where I want to just go through TikTok or Instagram or whatever, you know, stuff that doesn't require me to do too much fine, you know, adjustments or typing or whatever on my screen. I can probably like eyeball type, you know, blindly, but, you know, it's more so for just viewing stuff here, maybe watching YouTube, I don't know. So yeah, this is really, really cool, and it honestly makes a ton of sense. I can also resize it to be even bigger here. So yeah, this is super cool. I hope in the future, though, you can sort of interact with it more. That would be really amazing, sort of like you can do with macOS Sequoia. But for now, mirroring is just happening, and you know what? I'm happy. It's really high res, and again, it's great to be able to just sit back and relax and just sort of almost use your phone like a remote to view or to enjoy vertical content on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube Shorts, etc. But anyway, last up here, I want to discuss a feature that is almost here. I think it's going to be released in October or November. I'm super excited for it, but I can kind of show you what it's going to look like. And this, of course, is the new ultra-wide Mac virtual display mode here. So on Apple's website, this is what it looks like. Super exciting. For now, we just have a 16:9 experience, which is weirdly responsive, really, really cool. Very high res here. So if you want to use your MacBook, you know, Air or Pro's display in you know, like a sort of tight space on a bus, on a train, whatever, you can do that without having a physically huge display in front of you. So this is like a TV size just floating over my bed, which is really cool. But pretty soon you'll be able to have it stretch even more, you know, wide and sort of around you to immerse you into your macOS Sequoia experience. So I'm really pumped for that here because this already works super well. So to have an even larger, higher res display will just make the Vision Pro as a sort of extension of your Mac even more worthwhile. So if you're somebody who wants a virtual display experience that's amazing, this is, you know, the only device that's going to be able to deliver this experience, because I'm telling you, I've used other, you know, glasses and devices and whatever, and they're great, but this is just superb, like phenomenal. So yeah, I mean, I can't demo it now, but I definitely will in a future video. But yeah, this alone sort of makes up half of Vision OS 2's value to me, and also the Vision Pro's value to me, because, you know, beyond it being an entertainment device, you know, a gaming device, whatever, it's also an extension of your other Apple products. So yeah, I mean, it's equally its own standalone device and also a display, a really advanced one with two 4K, you know, stamp-sized displays for your eyeballs. So I am really excited for this update. I'll be covering it soon. And that about wraps things up here. I hope this video was exciting, helpful. If you're thinking about getting a Vision Pro, if you want to jump on board the hype train or the sort of pioneer wagon or whatever, you know, I would recommend it if you want to buy one used or if you're a crazy Apple content creator like me. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing else like it. In all honesty, I would say, you know, the second generation is probably going to be your best bet. But if you really want to incorporate this into your life, you want to have a, you know, media consumption experience like no other, a external display device like no other, you know, there's nothing else like this right now. So, you know, pick one up used if you can. That'll probably make it more worthwhile for you, although you definitely want to get AppleCare. Anyway, I'm yapping. Check out my link to AnaPro down below if you're interested in this really nifty, comfortable addition to the Vision Pro here. I absolutely love this, and it's going to encourage me to use my Vision Pro more now. And as always, I'm Noah, and I will catch you all in the next one.